KCAAradio.com. KCAA.
The views of the following show are not necessarily the views of broadcast management or its owner, Fred Lundgren. But then again, the views of broadcast management are, well, different. And now it's time for On the Mark Live with host Mark Westwood. Finally, a show about KCAA. Hot topics, a little locomotion, current events, news, laugh, reviews, and a little irreverence. And you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 3, 2, 1, Mark.
Hello. Mark Westwood on the radio with you. KCAA 1050 AM 106.5 FM. The stations that leave no listener behind. We stress the FM part. We're going to have a good time today. I got my popcorn sitting right here in front of me. We're going to have a delightful show in front of you. A new show that we kind of started a couple of weeks ago, but I've been working with this gentleman, Roberto.
Hi, everyone.
Ceja.
Yeah.
I like to roll the O's. Roberto,
Ceja. Yeah.
Roberto Ceja. And, of course, we're going to interview today a congressional candidate, which is always fun. And we're all talking before the show. We're kind of like-minded in a lot of ways, so we're going to have at it. We're going to be the Inland Empire's version of Young Turks or, any other progressive radio show. Here at KCAA, I kind of take pride in the fact that we've turned progressive over the years that I've been here. Stephanie Miller, Tom Hartman, Rick Smith, Randy Corrigan, Jeff Santos has been a new into our program lineup in the last, about 2 months ago now, huh, Eric?
It's been pretty progressive lately.
Yeah, about something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And so there's been a lot to talk about, so we are going to get right down to it. Ladies and gentlemen, every couple of years we have congressional candidates run. It's kind of a thing I think that congressional, in my opinion, should be every 4 years because all congressional candidates do is fundraise. And, I have a good friend, Pete Aguilar, and all he does is fundraise. And I remember one time I was standing there after he had just won on that election night. And I said, so what are you going to do tomorrow, Pete? And he says, well, I got a fundraiser. It's the night after the election. He just won. And it's just serious. When you run for Congress, Tessa, you're fundraising.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, it takes a lot of money. So let me introduce you to Tessa Lynn Hodge, a wonderful lady who deserves all three names. And she is the state party endorsed candidate for the Democratic Party. Just got that about a month ago now, right?
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank
honestly.
you
That is
so
a
much.
huge accomplishment.
Hard work for.
I feel like the days just run together, and I'm trying to think how long ago that was now. I think maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was literally 3 weeks ago.
My goodness.
And she's running against the incumbent. And let me tell you, there was more candidates, almost as many candidates running for governor for the 23rd at first. There were a lot of people dropping off one by one by one. I interviewed a couple of them.
Yeah.
And, it's hard work for her. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On being the Democratic nominee. And so we move on and go forward. So you're running for the 23rd Congressional District.
Yes, sir.
Against Jay Ovalnolte.
Boo.
Well, my first little problem is that he's a big Trump supporter.
Yes, very.
And, through all this, that you can remain a Trump supporter, and, we could list the offenses, the 34 felony convictions, the not alleged anymore. There's documented evidence that he was not only a participant in this pedophile ring, he was a proprietor of it. It was like he was the realtor, the broker selling the real estate.
But again, a lot of people will say fake news, so we can't
It's not fake news. I mean, here's
right.
the picture, Robert. Here's the picture.
I mean, for all of us like-minded, there is substantial evidence. We know that, but other people say that's fake news. So,
when 25 people come up to you and say the building around the corner is on fire, and you say no, it's not.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe after the third or fourth person that says it to you, you might want to start believing it a little bit.
Yeah.
Where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, and it's so interesting to me because, and I was having a conversation about this, if we go back to 2016, 2015 when he was running, and those Access Hollywood tapes came out, right? Where he was caught on a hot mic saying, grab women by the
sexual organ.
Yes. And it's just as a woman, right? You develop this sense of like, okay, how to read people. And I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so it's kind of what I do in my everyday job anyways. But then also as a survivor of sexual abuse as a child, you really learn how to identify these people. And sometimes it's blatant like this. And so from that very first moment when I heard that, I was like, okay, I know who this man is. And it is just shocking to me that so many people are like, no, it couldn't be, not him.
Oh, yeah. They're just like drinking the orange Kool-Aid. You know, I didn't like him since Home Alone. I tell you what, I didn't like him in the movie. I'm glad Macaulay Culkin edited him out. I really tell you, I did not like him. But, you know, not green eggs and ham and not Trump. But, you know, there's so many things along the way. And like I've said this to Eric before, and I says, well, be careful playing that Trump quote because, you know, he says the F word in it. Or, you know, I can be fined for saying the stuff on these airwaves that Trump says. Just his vernacular, just his language is bad. And, you know, it's an embarrassment. It's just
It's not even just his language too. It's the way that he talks about people. Like even for me, when I first started hearing about him, it was that he called like our culture, our ethnicity, like they're bringing in drugs, they're bringing in crime, and it's essentially alienating certain ethnicities just because of who they are. And even then, aside from the harsh language, it's also just blatantly just calling these people who what they were apparently supposedly be. But we're all good people. Like I'm Hispanic and I'm not one of these people. That accounts for their very minor, but apparently he makes it such a big deal, and that ingrains in everyone's mind that, oh, because I'm Hispanic, I'm gonna go rob your house or something like that. So
well, I know, Tessa, you're running for Congress. We're going to talk about it in a minute.
forget about that.
Can we talk about Kristen for a minute?
We went off tangent.
And Homeland Security. And, you know, and then the effervescent, what's her name? The press secretary that got on and talked about Carolyn Levitt.
Yeah, Caroline
talked
Levitt.
about gas prices in her own edict today. I mean, when does a press secretary just start rambling on and giving her own edict? All she's supposed to do is tell you what the president says, right?
Yes.
No, not Caroline Levitt. You know, there with her little cross there saying, "Kill the Iranians."
And they have their own agenda. Like they don't really tell about news or anything else. It's just whatever comes to their mind. It's no longer back to politics. It's no longer back to business as usual. It's just this kind of rhetoric of, you know, we're gonna talk about, I don't know, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats kind of mentality. You get me?
I mean, we've been talking like for 10 minutes now, and we just keep one-liners.
Yeah.
Because, you know, no president would be able to get by with this. And, you know, I would like dare any of you to, you know, aside from Pete, who is the transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, maybe you could name Joe Biden's Secretary of State, maybe. But, you know, down the line, I got to give Trump credit for it, you know. Let's go down the line here. We got Pete Hegseth. Here's the side.
All I can do is sigh because it's just, what do you even say? What do you even say at this point?
You better get the hand on the bump button because I've got a word for him. But what an idiot. You know, and I just tell you right now, he's getting on there, bumping his chest. You know, okay, the war. I mean, what's the outcome? What was the goal? Why did we go there? What are we doing? And, you know, Elizabeth Warren said it so well this morning about that. She, you know, she talked to, you know, there's no clear, you know, path. There's no end game. There, you know, just that we beat them and we blew them up.
And yet the war is still going on.
Mm-hmm. And, well, according to them, it's not even a war, right?
Right, yeah.
It's a war.
And it's interesting. So when I very first decided to run for Congress, which was, you know, back in February of last year, one of the very first things that the administration started doing was dismantling USAID. And we know that USAID was a significant factor in soft power around the world.
USAID,
right?
yeah.
Yep. And the dismantling of that hurts our soft power around the world, making it more likely that China or Russia will step in and hostilities and all of these things, right? And I say it on my website.
Now, soft power is a term like we didn't go in there and knock them over the head and fire a Tomahawk missile on 168 of their children. Soft power means you help, you aid. It's, you know, more flies with honey.
Exactly. There we go. Thank you for, yes. And so I talk about it on my website that this administration is all about thumping their chest and carrying a big stick, hitting anybody with that stick. And that's how we're going to be the biggest and the best, right? We're going to scare everybody. But they want to use these big, strong threats. But who are the ones that are actually going to have to go in and pay the price? Who are the ones that are going to have to go in and cash the checks that Trump's behind is writing? It is our soldiers. And I was canvassing last Saturday, and I knocked on a door, and it was a Marine veteran that answered, and we had a conversation, and he asked, what's your stance on veterans? And he had done 4 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he said, when you have held a dying Marine in your arms, you do not want to go to war. You do not drop bombs at the snap of a finger. And our administration is clearly showing that they do not care about the lives of soldiers. As they've said, people will die. Oh, well.
When the first George Bush went into Iraq, and my dad was still alive, and he was in front of the TV. Now, my dad was a career military man, 29 and a half years, a master sergeant in the Army. He served in Korea, Vietnam, and World War II, 3 wars, and Purple Heart recipient. And he got up there and shook his hand at that TV. He was so mad. He says, we're never going to get out of there. And he used words that devout Catholic man would never have used. But and the reason, he was dead on. He was dead right. That's a quagmire that we've gotten into now. We have over 17 countries now involved in this because Iraq keeps shooting at them. Crazy things like they're threatening the coast of California now, which is not going to happen.
There is no credible evidence. Even the police departments have been kind of confirming that there is really no credible evidence. And they were asking them, like, so where did you get this information?
Kash Patel's FBI.
Yeah.
There we go. Here's another one. Kash Patel. Beer slugging, hockey playing, whatever.
One thing I kind of want to say is just like, honestly, we grew up with this. Like my generation grew up with like 9/11. We were taught never to forget about that. And even throughout the years, we just kind of just want, stability because many of us don't have health care. Many of us have this country alone is performing the worst in education, is performing the worst in mortality. And yet we can send billions of dollars to these endless wars, to these countries that don't even deserve the money. And you're telling me like we have the best healthcare in the world is just completely counterproductive.
Well, I want to remind our listeners and you as a younger person, 36 of the 911 attackers were from Saudi Arabia. They were Saudis.
Yeah.
And now they're our allies.
Right.
Yeah. And so, but you're right. And
we're
going to touch on so many things today.
And crazy part about it is that, this administration does so well in spreading misinformation. And it screws over not just us, like us Democrats. And
let's call what it is, propaganda.
Right. And some of us that are Democrats, moderate Republicans, we kind of see right through it, but it also screws over the people that take in these lies. His supporters, his base. And I, as a person, as an educator, I feel so sorry for them. I'm not saying it out of pity. I'm just saying it because like they've been given so much misinformation for the past years that's all they know, and they will not take anything else of it.
Orange idiot gets on the air and says, "Oh, there's nothing left to blow up in Iran." What? Yeah. Why don't you get on and apologize for dropping a tomahawk missile on those kids?
Yes.
That would have never have happened. Whether you can say, "Oh, it was a misfire," or what, it never would have happened had he not unilaterally, on his own, decided. Right.
Yeah.
And to talk about, this current Congress, and Jay Olbernolte. Jay Olbernolte came out with a statement the other day that, he voted no on the war powers resolution that was going through the House to try to check Trump, on what was happening. And he voted no on it because he agrees with the president, and he agrees that there was a threat and, all of these things. And
there was a notion there was a threat.
Right.
And here's the thing. As a congressperson, you are elected to uphold the Constitution. And even when I did my paperwork to be on the ballot, I had to take an oath. Just to be on the ballot, I had to take an oath to the Constitution. And so I don't care if you agree with the president or not. What does the Constitution say?
Absolutely.
And the Constitution says that only Congress has the right to initiate hostilities. And that's my own language because, I can't quote the Constitution off the top of my
But
head.
let me just put it in these terms. As a nation, I grew up, and my dad's, under the Statue of Liberty and the torch and all that stuff. We as a nation never have attacked another country that wasn't attacking us.
Right.
We've always done war as a defense mechanism or to support an ally, but not to just attack a country, a nation. Now, I'm not saying Iran was a great country. It's not.
No.
And their leadership's not a great country. Islam and the whole thing is just kind of weird. I don't want to insult anybody. But I will tell you this. They didn't attack us.
No.
They didn't attack us. We shouldn't have done this. Absolutely. We all agree 100% no.
No. And we're stuck. We're stuck in this no matter what.
Yeah, because what do we do now? I mean, we could just back out, but we've riled up this hornet's nest, right?
I keep sending maps to Iran that says, here's Mar-a-Lago. No, just kidding.
Honestly. But even
right here.
just here. Just don't miss. But honestly, it's just like
Honestly, I've done that. I really did. But okay, go ahead.
But honestly, like I just why? That's like my utter. Once I heard that this was happening, I'm just like, why?
Epstein.
I know.
Yes.
For obvious reasons, yes. But it's just like
Let's just clear the table of
then
all
it
this
screws
right now and
all
get
of
to
us,
that.
It screws all of us over, and for generations, we're just gonna have to keep repeating the same cycle over and over again, no matter what.
You are a licensed clinical social worker, Tessa,
Yes.
and you do therapy for people with stress and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure, and you said you're a victim yourself, that we clear the table of all this, and then we get to the pedophile ring.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, there's no disputing
No.
what he did was did.
Absolutely.
Elaine Maxwell, Maxine,
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
There we go.
Excuse me,
Uh-huh.
Ghislaine
Yeah.
Maxwell. No disputing it. She doesn't
No.
deny it either. Let's just pull this down to the base here. I mean, if you've ever had a young daughter, and that person was 13 or 14 years old, can you imagine some 50-year-old man taking the daughter in a room and having his way with them? And the stories we hear, and it's not just one woman or two women or three women, this is a bunch of women, and they all kind of, the different things that, Trump did. And then bringing people to the island all the time,
And
Yes.
and it's
the
not just
proprietor, but-
and it's not just Trump. Keep in mind that there's a lot of people involved, not just the people up top. It's
Yep.
the people that do the work, that get paid to get these underage women. Underage girls are actually children. I'm gonna say children.
Children.
They're
There we go.
children. To get children, no matter what, it's the people that do the work. We need to go after them too, but we're not seeing that here. We're not seeing that here at all.
In Great Britain, they said, Prince Andrew, you're out. You're done.
Yeah.
No more royal status, no more money, no nothing, and you may go to jail.
Yep.
And that's because they understand, in the United States, we have people willing to look the other way for their own political self-aggrandizement.
Exactly. Like J. Obernolte.
Right.
I don't understand how you can see what is coming out in these files. And, people will say, oh, well, it's not credible. It hasn't been investigated. It's not. Well, why hasn't it been investigated? And the only way to tell if something is credible or not is to investigate it.
It was investigated. It has been investigated before Trump was in office.
Yes.
But
It
but
wasn't
people,
released.
it wasn't released.
And the Department of Justice, the wheels turn slowly. And then they tried to release this ridiculously redacted document
Yeah.
when they were ordered by the Supreme Court and Congress to release these things. And then they gave us this form. It looked like
Just like, yeah, somebody had taken a
black.
Sharpie to it, and yes. And so I don't understand how you see what is coming out in these files and are okay with standing beside the person and defending the person who is named.
you may be
thousands and
Republican.
thousands of times.
You may be a registered Republican, but you're not part of the Republican Party. Most people aren't. Mm-hmm. So what you are is somebody who's registered Republican. Now it's time for you to do what's right or what's wrong. And what's right is to acknowledge the fact that this took place. It's the preponderance of evidence.
Yes.
I mean, what's it going to take for you to put your hand on the counter and that's to hit it with a hammer? And that's the only way you're going to believe that your hand is hurting?
Yes.
No. This is the preponderance of evidence that, what he did was awful.
Yes.
It was repugnant. It was disgusting. It was kind of one of the worst things I can ever think, and there's other things coming out that I don't even want to go there because, when you start talking about this stuff, if I started talking about this stuff 3 years ago, like our good friend Alex on the radio, Alex Jones, who talked about this pedophile ring before, and everybody said, you're ripping us nuts. Excuse me, I just said a bad word. But
Where's the bleep? Where's the
yeah, he did it just now. And that's the general manager said that, I'm sorry, the views of the management are not as... Yeah. Anyway, but when you say this, you start talking about, like, it's nuts. But they're also talking about this is a form of sacrifice. They're also talking about that there may have been children that were dead, killed, sacrificed. I don't know. We're going to another phase that I didn't want to go to, but, we got to this point already, and it's horrible.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah. And, I'm sure that Trump was getting money from Epstein, and Epstein was, spending money on these other candidates. And there's a difference between, I'm campaigning for an office, and somebody steps up and says, can I take a picture with you? That's happened to you too, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not going to have the time to filter them and do all that.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the same.
I've taken a bunch of pictures with Roberto. And
Yeah. Take pictures with me.
Like, honestly, like, even for me, like, I'm photogenic. I don't really care. Like,
Eric knows my skeletons over there in the control room. But, we're good friends, and, I've told him about his tongue. Cut it out. Anyway, we've been talking a lot. We're going to get back and talk more about Tessa Lynn Hott so you can get to know her right after the break. You're listening to Politics on the Mark with Roberto Ceja.
Yeah,
and I'm Mark Westwood with Tessa Lynn Hott. We'll be right back after this.
KCAA. Hi, folks. It's Milan Vukovic from the Tahibo Tea Club. We just received our first shipment since the new tariffs, and because our tea is harvested deep in the Brazilian rainforest, we had to pay a 50% import tariff just to release it. Once we run out of our current inventory, prices will go up. Right now, you can still stock up at today's pre-tariff prices by calling us at 818-610-8088. 1 pound of original Pure Pau d'Arco Tahibo tea is $49.95, or take advantage of our multi-pack discounts such as buy 3 pounds, get 1 free. That's a 4-pack discount of 25% for $149.95, or buy 5 pounds, get 3 free. That's an 8-pack discount to 38% for $249.95. Stock up now. Call us at 818-610-8088 or visit TahiboTeaClub.com. That's 818-610-8088.
It's a bird!
It's a plane!
No, it's Super Roth!
Okay, a gimmicky opening for a commercial about Super Roth Universal Life Insurance, but I'm sure it got your attention. Now, what is a Super Roth, you ask? It's a permanent indexed universal life insurance that's totally liquid and easily accessible once it matures. Can be used to supplement retirement savings or a death benefit, or both. Has no income or contribution limit. Has no 5-year rule like Roth IRAs. Has no 10% penalty for accessing the funds before age 59 and a half. Oh, and the average historical returns are 5 to 7% annually. Tax-free. Super Roths also lock in gains, which means you don't lose your money when the market is down. Sounds incredible, right? Sounds super? Super Roths are the way of the future, specifically your future. To see if you qualify for a Super Roth, go online to thesuperroth.com.
The biggest stars, the hottest shows in person at Paley Fest at Dolby Theater in Hollywood, April 4th through the 12th. Tickets are on sale now. Experience unforgettable panels and screenings with the biggest stars and the hottest shows, including Nobody Wants This, Shrinking, The Pit, Emily in Paris, Your Friends and Neighbors, Scrubs, Pluribus, and a special 50th anniversary celebration of Charlie's Angels. Get an exclusive look at the biggest names in television. Don't miss Paley Fest. Tickets sell fast, so visit paleyfest.org to buy tickets now.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest for Albertsons, Vons, and Pavilions. It's stock up savings time. Now through March 31st, earn 4 times the points on eligible items from Smart Water, Healthy Choice, Continental, Arrowhead, Red Bull, St. James, Tillamook, and Special K. Restrictions apply. See website for full terms and conditions.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
KCAA 1050 AM 106.5 FM. Stations to leave no listener behind. I'm Mark Westwood on Politics on the Mark with Politics on Roberta Sija now, too, who's my co-host.
Yeah.
And we have the pleasure and honor of being joined by a congressional candidate for the 23rd Congressional District, the California Democratic Party endorsed candidate, Tessa Lynn Hodge. Welcome back.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. We're just
Thank
talking
you.
about your day here. You know, it takes a lot to run for an office.
It does. It
Whether
does.
it's a little bitty office or a big office, the gigantic effort to run for Congress.
Yep.
And fundraising efforts and stuff like that.
Yes.
So before we get out the gate here, let's talk about your website so people can find more info that we don't cover here. What's your website?
It is tessa4ca.com. So TESSAFORCA.com.
Okay, so it's forca.com. All right, Tessa4ca.com. Very easy. I'd recommend you get the other one too and do a redirect on that. So you have
I know. My husband was saying
four
that
on
like
it.
forever ago. And
Costs you
yes, I
$20.
probably need to do that.
Just cost you $20. But anyway, because people get that number 4 or FOR, but most people can figure it out.
Most of us are just lazy at this point. We're just like,
Well, after so many people they type in Tessa, you're just going to come up. You're going to be infamous. That's
Right.
I ran for state assembly twice in the Senate, and then unfortunately I didn't make it. But maybe fortunate for some people, but unfortunately I didn't make it. And then I got to the point in my life where I said, well, that's a lot to give up and a lot to sacrifice, and and then they invented these things. Take pictures,
yeah.
And I was sitting there drinking a cup of coffee one day, and somebody went, flash. I'm like, why'd you just take a picture of me, and who are you? So, I mean, you give up a lot of your privacy
You do.
and stuff like that when you run for office. So you are married, right?
Yeah, I am.
How many years?
So we've been together 18 years. It'll be 18 years in July, and we will be married 16 years in May. And it's funny. So my birthday is May 20th. We got married on May 21st, and then my husband's birthday is May 22nd. So we just call it the Hodge High Holidays.
A Hodge.
no way, that is crazy.
We bow to the east or something. No, so I'm sure your husband has a name other than we. What's his name?
His name's Andrew.
Andrew.
Oh, wow.
And some people may have heard of him. So he is Not Stepping Back. So if you go on Facebook, there's a group called Not Stepping Back.
That's him.
That is him.
I'm a member of that. Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
So
cool.
Not Stepping Back. He leads all of the protests and really does a lot of the community organizing up in the high desert area.
Yeah.
I am very proud of him because when I first told him, when I had kind of had this thought, okay, what if I run for Congress, right? And he was cooking dinner one night. He was making tacos, and I go out in the kitchen and I was like, hey, what if I run for Congress? And he goes, his eyes get real big, and he goes, but people will know who we are. His first response.
As if they don't know who he is. Right?
Well, they didn't before.
Oh, before.
Yeah,
before.
they did
Okay,
it
okay.
before.
You really truly have to fillet yourself and open your insides out.
Yes.
Yeah,
It really is.
literally.
I mean, you may run for office, right, Roberto?
To be announced someday.
You
We'll
may.
see.
I'd say you may. I didn't say
May.
you are.
May.
You may.
We'll see.
You're
We'll see how it goes.
You're a young, good-looking, progressive, politicalite. I know you're going to run for office. I know you are.
We will
What's your
see.
degree in? What's your master's degree in?
It's a master's in mathematics.
Oh.
Applied mathematics.
Don't you have a minor?
Oh my gosh.
A what?
in political
I'm not gonna say anything.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say
Well, let's
anything.
talk about Tessa anyway. Let's talk about Tessa anyway. There's some subjects that are near and dear to your heart. And as a possible potential elected congressional member, first day after you raise your right hand and swear to defend the oath of the Constitution and all of our amendments, not just the ones you choose.
Exactly.
What would be your first thing you'd like to do?
Well, when I very first started running, people asked me this question, and I said, well, it's kind of hard to say because who knows where we're going to be in 2 years' time, a year's time, right? However, so I would, under different circumstances, the first thing that I would do is want to introduce Medicare for all. However, in order to do that, we have to get rid of what is currently happening at the top. And so very first day after I raise my right hand, it would be to not just impeach Trump, but impeach his entire cabinet and also hold them accountable for what they are doing, for shredding apart our Constitution, for illegally detaining citizens, for entering wars without congressional approval.
Impeach and remove.
Impeach and remove.
Maybe torture. No, just
and
kidding.
hold accountable.
We don't endorse torture here.
I do not
I'm
endorse
thinking about
torture.
it. I'm thinking about it.
We're not encouraging torture here.
I'm
Mark.
not running for office. Okay, go ahead.
So that would be very first thing I would do, is to impeach, remove, and to hold this administration accountable for what it's doing. The second thing I would like to do is Medicare for all.
Amen. You know what?
yeah.
I have been working. I attended my very first state party convention. I just missed this last one because of surgeries and all that stuff. I wasn't really doing health-wise. This is the first one I've missed since 1993.
Oh my gosh.
Since I am one of the longest continuously serving people on the San Bernardino County Democratic Central Committee. I was on the e-board for over a dozen years. I'm in that to win it and committed and doing all that and sacrificed and worked. And I tell you what, that subject has been on the top of the ticket forever. We've gotten so close so many times. And it's just like, we pay more for health care
than any other
Yes.
country. We're the only country that doesn't provide health care for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, we're a Western, civilized, large country, and we don't do this. Why?
And for me, it's a personal issue, but then it's also an issue because of what I do. So personally, so when I was 16, I was in a fatal car accident, and 2 of my friends were killed. And we were on a snow day from school. We had gone to the movies. We went to Starbucks. We were like going to McDonald's next, and got in the accident. 2 of my friends were killed. In my early 20s, I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder from it. And I was not able to access health care from 18 until I got married at 22, because this was before the Affordable Care Act.
Oh, yeah.
And so as soon as you turned 18, you fell off your parents' insurance.
Yep.
And so because I was not able to get the mental health care that I need for this very traumatic event that I went through, it got worse and worse and worse to the point where I couldn't work. I couldn't go to school. There were days I couldn't even think about getting in the car because I would have a panic attack. And then when I got married at 22, I was able to get on my husband's insurance, which I shouldn't have to get married to get health insurance.
Tell me about it.
Apparently that's
So then at 22, I was able to get into therapy and, get better. And now I have my master's degree in social work, licensed clinical social worker, and I'm now a therapist. So because I was able to get that health care, I am now able to give to my community, to be a contributing member to society, to contribute to the capitalist machine, all of those good things.
Well, I could tell you a similar story, not about me personally, but thank God I have Obamacare, or affordable health care. I'm alive because of it. But my friend, his name was Mark Shepard, who was the chair of the San Bernardino County Democratic Party for 8 years, who was a staffer for a congressional member of Congress, a Democrat, who he felt stepped over the line and he couldn't take it anymore. And he resigned, and he lost his health care. The problem was he had a heart condition and needed a heart valve replacement, and he couldn't get it, and Mark Shepard died because of it.
Yep.
So people are dying because of that. You know, Mitt Romney said that back in the day. Oh, people, it's not like people are dying in their apartments. Well,
No,
guess
people
what?
are.
Guess what? They are.
Mark Shepard died in his condominium.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
my
and,
gosh.
you know, I came this close to discovering him. If it wasn't for the fact that I was working as a DJ at a local nightclub in Riverside called the VIP.
No way.
You all know that probably.
Unfamiliar?
And I had to go to work, and so I had seen Mark and taken him some food and everything. He was sick. And I said, "Come on, let's go to the hospital. Let's go to the hospital." He said, "I can't afford it. Can't afford it." I said, "No, I don't care. I don't care. Let's go."
gosh.
He wouldn't go. I says, "I'm coming back at 4:30," not thinking I had to be at work at 5, and see, and I'm going to take you to the hospital. And I couldn't do it, so I called my friend Nancy Ruth White up was her name. And she was a former chair, previous to Mark, of the San Bernardino County Democratic Party. Said, "Nancy, can you go check on Mark and see if he's okay?" And she found him dead. She found him dead. So there's one story. And then the other story, to kind of prop up why sometimes healthcare is good, my roommate, Sam, has had a ailment called deep vein thrombosis that's caused his leg to ulcerize. And, you know, he's been having, through private health care, and he turned 26 and he got kicked off and sent over to Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And we thought, oh, gosh, this is like the kiss of death. Well, guess what? This government health care he's getting is better than he's ever had with the private health care. They're not just trying to push him down the road. They're trying to cure him. And it's like a testimony to the fact that, yes, we can have good health care.
Yes, we can.
And Medicare for everyone.
Yes, we can. And then, you know, besides my own personal story, I also have asthma, by the way. So that period where I didn't have health insurance and couldn't get an asthma inhaler. So literally just, hey, can't breathe. Guess I either die or go to the emergency room,
literally,
right?
like,
Literally die.
I guess I'll just die.
I guess I'll just die. Besides that, you know, my work as a licensed clinical social worker. So I have worked at St. Mary's as a medical social worker, and which is funny because that's actually the same hospital I was born in. So born and raised in the district. My grandmother was actually an RN at St. Mary's for like 30 years, and then I ended up working there as a medical social worker. So having done that, and then also I've done school-based mental health services, and then now currently own my own private practice. I work with insurance companies every single day. And when I tell you that the only way to solve the current medical crisis is Medicare for all, it is because that truly is the only way. There are so many clients that around like September, October, you start getting real busy as a therapist because people have met their deductible for the year.
Yeah.
And so now they can get therapy. But what happens January 1?
And they had to restart.
Your deductible restarts.
Yeah.
And then you can't afford therapy every week anymore. And so it's like, all right, bye. See you in September, I guess. If you meet your deductible, which is terrible. How do you deal with anxiety, depression, trauma, all of these things when you can get therapy 3 months out of the year?
And you know what? It's going to be less expensive than this insurance care. And the fact of the matter is, and do you agree with me on this one? We have insurance care. We don't have health care.
Bingo.
Yeah. And folks listening out there, it's all about your insurance company. It's all about that base, right? It's all about the insurance company. It's not about like what kind of a quality health care you're getting.
It's
how
what
many
type of
us,
insurance you have.
Right.
Literally.
Been on the line, hold for 25 minutes, only to go click and have to start again to get back.
Yep.
You know, it's funny because like my grandmother, she has I'm assuming Medicare or Medicaid. I don't remember which one that she has. But in order for her to get seen by the doctor, she has to go through the insurance first. And the insurance has to tell her, okay, you can go. And then after that, then she can set up the appointment. But then it's just that whole hassle of going through the insurance first before setting up with the doctor, which should be set up with the doctor first because they're the experts in this.
Yes.
They're literally the experts dealing with the patients. It's not the insurance. It's not saying like the insurance is the expert in like bone marrow treatment or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like, it's crazy. We live in this type of time period that in order for us to get seen by a healthcare provider, we have to go through an insurance agency first before getting seen.
Because it's all about profit over people.
And I'll give you one more quick
companies.
story, and this one is a personal, and I'm going to keep it like 30 seconds dry because we had to get back focused on you. I just had gallbladder removed, and it started flaring up right in the first week of January. And it started hurting more and hurting more and hurting more. And finally, I got to the point where I went over and I went to the emergency room, and I do what I don't like to do, is to spend 10 hours in the emergency room.
Oh gosh.
And they did all these tests, and they came back and said, you definitely have to have your gallbladder out soon. Go home, take Tylenol, and call your doctor, because it's not to the point where we are allowed by the insurance companies to remove it. Although you need to have it removed, it doesn't have necrose tissue, dead tissue yet. So they couldn't do it. And so they sent me home, and the next day I was in so much pain, agony, that I now went from that one, and I had bariatric surgery, to my bariatric surgeon's emergency room over in Riverside, trying to get help. And the bariatric surgeon was the weekend, I didn't see him. They said, well, we understand, but we had 2 MRIs and all these tests and all this stuff, expensive stuff. And they said, it's the same result. We're going to give you some painkillers, though. So they gave me some painkillers this time. And then on Monday, I went to my nurse practitioner, because my doctor, I never see him because he's too busy. Of course not. He's too busy administrating this big business. So the nurse practitioner said, well, let me call general surgery. And then it was like another week, and I was taking painkillers, and I wasn't productive or anything else. And then finally, my bariatric surgeon says, Mark, I know what you're going through. I got a surgery scheduled tomorrow. Go over to St. Bernardine's, 3rd time in the emergency room. I'm going to get you checked into the hospital. And then it was like a couple of days till he could get to me. He had so many surgeries to do. And then finally I had it removed. But I got the bill just for St. Bernardine's the other day.
Oh, no.
Now, it's not I have to pay. I don't have to pay it. I have insurance. But they itemize it, $48,000 just for that.
And now a lot of people, when they get their bill, like, you can request the hospital to like list out what am I actually being like priced for? Why am I being charged $48,000? Like, even for people that like my wife and I, when my wife was pregnant at the time, we got the best insurance we could. When my wife ended up delivering, it was only $500 we had to pay. But for others that had to, go for labor and delivery, they would have to pay up to $50,000 just for labor and delivery, just for holding up babies. Like, I remember one of them was like $32 just for touch before, giving their vaccines or injections.
So they're charging you.
Yeah.
They are charging you to hold your child.
Like $2.
I got weighed. It says it. It's itemized. $2.10 because they weighed me.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
I got a mental health check. It was $10. The only thing I can think of, somebody said, "How you doing today, Mark?"
Yeah, I'm like, did you see a social worker in there? Did you see a psychiatrist?
What would have made it more ridiculous, and I know we need to move on, is if they would have charged you just for the greeting. Be like, hey, how's it going? $5 for that greeting, by the way.
I think that was part of the mental health check. I don't know. I must have passed it. I'm here still. Not in it anyway. Moving on, besides 1, 2, and 3 on the items here. I'm a big kind of environmentalist kind of guy. And I used to participate in Sierra, but I just have time right now, 5 radio stations. But tell me about your stance on the environment and.
I would love to.
Okay. I figured so.
So, like I said, I'm born and raised in the district. So born in Apple Valley, currently live in Victorville. I've lived in Phelan. Hopefully we'll get to move back to Phelan at some point. But I love I love our district so much because we have the big wide open deserts. And I could go on about this all day. I won't, but people who aren't familiar with our deserts, they, look out at it and they're like, there's nothing there. It's dead. It's like, how is this beautiful to you? It's just a dead desert. No, there's lizards and tortoises and bugs and birds and cactuses and Joshua trees and, all this stuff that's alive. Like, the desert is alive.
Well, after Mark Shepard quit Joe Baca, did I say that? Joe Baca's office, he went to work for Dianne Feinstein on the Desert Protection Act.
Yeah.
So he was doing God's work before he died. That was too bad. It really was. But we see what we lose when we do that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's been such a pleasure talking with you. We only have about 10 more minutes, and I'm sitting here like I've got this young man down in the other corner, young voice, and I don't want to dominate this here. So I'm going to put the pressure on you, Roberto. Now it's time for you to interview.
Yeah. Honestly, what is something that you would want to advocate in Congress in terms of our district? That is something that is dear and hard to me because for me, recently, because I've been coming out more often, The one thing that's a pressing issue for us in our district, and I know you can agree on this, is warehouses.
Yes.
That is a huge problem here in this district.
Yes.
The fact that we have so many warehouses, which, by the way, in Redlands, they put a ban on newer development of warehouses. So how would you advocate for that, or what are some things you would like to advocate in Congress?
Absolutely. So, and the warehouse thing goes back, like, to go back to the environmental thing, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have these big open deserts, and you know they want to plop warehouses all over,
Right.
which is an environmental issue. And so I'm a big systems person, so you know, I won't get into it because I get so excited about it, but I'll bore everybody. So from a systems perspective, you know, we're all of our own individual like system, but we're impacted by the systems around us. And so when we look at healthcare, when we look at environmentalism, when we look at warehouses, when we look at jobs, all of these things are interconnected. So if we have warehouses everywhere, that increases pollution, which is bad for the environment, which increases rates of things like asthma, which has an impact on the healthcare system, and it's all interconnected, right? So you talk about the warehouse issue. Look, and I know that there's this balance that has to be played between having good jobs in the district but also protecting our environment. And I really think that instead of looking at warehouses as the only option for things, because I feel like so many of the cities in the Inland Empire look at warehouses as the only option for jobs. There is not. That is not the only option.
I
for
have
jobs.
some good news on warehouses, by the way.
What's that?
You kind of heard it at our wine and cheese party, a little bit of foreshadowing of it. You know, they tried to put warehouses in Ukaipa.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
Wait, I think I just saw something about
yeah,
this.
we had
Yeah.
we had a referendum on the ballot.
Yeah.
And they took a poll, and allegedly it was like 80% of the people against the warehouses and the 2,500 trucks and the dieseling and the horrible thing they were going to put these in a canyon, no less.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 1,100,000 square foot warehouses, and the Pacific Oaks developer, which they came in, they're just the developer. They come in and they get the contract, and then they sell it off to somebody else and break all their promises.
Yeah.
Well, for whatever reason, they decided to pull out of California and pull out of this deal. And so here's the city council, the city council chambers was full of people screaming at them, "Don't vote for this! Don't vote for this! Don't vote for this!" 30 days later, they got the referendum, you know, and Why Now, which is Save Ukaipa group, got this referendum. I got to tell you, they did God's work on that one, because they just took a vote on Monday night because the developer pulled out to rescind putting the referendum on the ballot, which means now they have to accept the old specific plan. And guess what? It was a big victory.
It was a big victory for here in Ukaipa and
the area.
And in the area in general. And honestly, and I feel like a lot of people are waking up seeing like, oh shoot, there's actually going to be more development, more warehouses. We need to do something. And honestly, even for me, living here in the Inland Empire, especially because I've commuted, born and raised in Linwood, but my family and I have moved mostly throughout the Inland Empire. And honestly, right now, me as graduate, I've done super commuting. I would commute during the summer in Redlands. I would commute from Redlands to Encino for a program. But a lot of the times, we don't really have a lot of jobs here. And so instead of just adding more warehouses, which are just, by the way, they're mostly entry level, and majority of those upper position levels, you're battling 1,000 people that are entry level versus one specific job. How about we advocate more businesses coming in? How about we advocate more of the big, I'm not saying big tech. I'm not saying that. I'm saying more innovation here in the Inland Empire, because there's truly something special here. About 60 to 70% of us here in this district alone, by the way, have a degree.
Yes. So one of the big things that besides Medicare for All, the 23rd Congressional District is really unique in that we're predominantly rural, but we have a lot of different types of rural areas. So we have our deserts. We have some agriculture area. We have the mountains. We have Big Bear and Lake Arrowhead. We have like some, population centers. We also have Loma Linda, which is a teaching hospital.
Yep.
Rural healthcare is becoming its own specialty.
Yeah.
In healthcare. And why can't we? Because besides just not having enough hospitals, enough, all of that, we don't have enough doctors. We don't have enough nurses, respiratory therapists, all of these things. We know that we have a shortage of that in the United States, all over the place. Why can't we get Loma Linda to expand into other areas in our district. And
Right.
why can't the 23rd be the hub, the pipeline for specialty rural healthcare for the entire country?
I love it. I love that idea.
Love
What a great, awesome idea. We have somebody who's an innovator here.
Look at that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not just a Trump play along and a
We have an
Trump
innovator.
yacht.
Yeah.
I didn't say the word, but we have somebody innovative. That's truly great. So we're just running into the time thing here.
Absolutely.
Believe it or not, this has been very invigorating, like a therapy session. Thank you.
It's almost like that's what I do for a living.
It's
You're
kind of
good
like
at
your. It's like kind of like it's your thing, right?
Do you guys think I should go into therapy? Do you-
Maybe you should. Anyway, tell us about what's coming up. Are you going to be at the Shindig on Saturday with the Luncheon Club?
I am.
Good.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
I will be there.
Maxine Waters will be there too.
Will she really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so is Betty E going to be there.
Oh, I
And,
love Betty E. Oh, I love
A couple
her.
other people here and there. And so it's going to be a good event to go to.
Yes, I
Bring
will
your
be
donation
there.
envelopes.
I will do that. So yes, I will be there. We have canvassing going on right now for the campaign. I feel like there's 1,000 things going on, and I'm blanking on all of them. But we
Oh,
have
by the way, 11 o'clock at the Elks Lodge. Okay.
so yeah, so we have
Confident in that.
canvassing going on. We have an event actually coming up that I'm working with some other candidates from around the Inland Empire. We're actually going to be doing an event specifically around warehousing and the future of the Inland Empire and what are the alternatives to warehousing. So there will be more information on that. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but you can go to my website, Tessa4CA, TESSA4CA.com. If you'd like to learn more about any of that.
Tessa4ca.com.
Yes. If you'd like to learn more about any of that, you can find my socials on there. You can also donate if you'd like to donate, because I'm always having to be fundraising, because that's the role for Congress. And yeah, thank you again for having me.
Thank
thank
you. We're
you
going to
for
have
being
to have
here.
you back, and maybe we'll just have you back as a panelist.
Honestly,
and
yeah.
honestly, we did that's such
I
a
would
good
love
thing.
that.
It was like the
Sure.
Inland Empire's version of Young Turks a little bit. So
Yeah, there you go.
I'm Mark Westwood, along with Roberta Seha.
Yeah.
And
Tessa Lynn Hodge.
all right, congressional candidate. Thank you to Eric in the control room.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Eric.
I
thank
think
you,
that's
Eric.
a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back next week, the same time, same bat channel, right here at 6 o'clock on Thursday evening with Politics on Something.
Thank you for
We'll-
listening
we'll-
to
we'll
On the
table
Mark
this.
Live, hosted
Yeah.
by Mark Westwood, a weekly show about this station, hot topics, local motion, and the world around us. Join us next week as we hop back on the KCAA Express for another ride on the Mark.